Please welcome to the stage Hacer President and CEO Sid Wilson.
All right. Buenas tardes, mi gente. We're on the final stretch. I'm really excited. This session is our final session of our Hacer Executive Programs, and I wanted to save this one for last. So if you're still here, trust me, you're going to be in for for an amazing session with an incredible leader who is a global leader, and I mean that in the most literal sense, global, and made a pit stop from the global travels to be here with all of us. And so, before I introduce our session, I'd like for us to cue a sizzle reel so that way you can get a background about who will be our next speaker. If we can show the video, please.
There's no fans like football fans. There's no game like this game. And there ain't no time like Hey, well, Mac, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm at the Super Bowl. Tune in, it's about to start.
I'm here with world champion Diana Flores.
Yeah.
Housekeeping. This season, he's got 128 receptions for 1,809 receiving yards.
whose son is this?
5, 4, 3, 2, all at one go. Put your front row. Let your toes show.
He calls that dance the gritty.
Love go. 5, 4, 3, 2, all at one go.
Trip.
Put your front row. Let your toes show.
Mafia style. Nice.
Sports is an amazing platform to help others. Everyone deserves an opportunity to be represented.
Eres poderosa.
Everybody is a role model.
To be out here in the community, give some hope.
I heard you're a huge Chiefs fan, man.
He was going to play in the National Football League, and he was going to use that platform to give back to his community.
But just so you know, we see you. We see you.
Who got my back? We got your back.
Who got my back? We got your back.
Bitch better have my money.
Aiming at your head like a buffalo. You're a
This is
roughneck.
really
I'm
swag.
a cutthroat. You're a tough guy. It's a no joke. Then the sun died. The night is young though. Diamonds still shine. In a rough road. But
This is how you football.
love go. 5, 4, 3, 2, where the ones go. Got a duffel full of mundos. Then the love go. Where's the up go?
We're back.
The Emmy goes to Super Bowl 57. Run with it.
You can get your favorite Chiefs player's jersey too. And yeah, you can get his. Everyone gets his.
5, 4, 3, 2, all at one go.
As long as we got each other, we can't be broken.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. She is Latina, and she is the Senior Vice President for Global Brands and Consumer Branding for the NFL. Please welcome Marissa Solis.
Thank you, Sid.
So let me just first start saying just how proud we are of you for being the mastermind, because all of us that watched that Super Bowl commercial that happened right around halftime, and how inspiring when you saw her running there, and then there was that moment with her and her mommy, and they spoke in Espanol, and we were like, wow. So first of all, before we get to that, because we're going to get to that part, but knowing that the mastermind was Latina, and someone that is there, and in full disclosure, Marissa and I have known each other for, I don't know,
A long time.
long time.
Many years.
Many years, and so I've watched and witnessed, where you were when I first met you many years ago to where you are now, and it is just incredibly inspiring. But but you had some very humble beginnings. Can we first start with that foundation? Like, tell me about those early years.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was born in Mexico City, and circumstances brought my parents and my family and I to the U.S. when I was 10. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, so if you know anything about that's in Texas. So if you're from McAllen or Brownsville, that's the area I grew up in, and it was really tough growing up in that environment. It's that area of the country at the time was about 99% Hispanic, about 35% living under the poverty rate. My parents were professionals in Mexico, and coming here, my dad was an engineer, he couldn't do it here. My mom couldn't teach here because they didn't have the right certifications. So they started restaurants. So I watched them be in the restaurant business growing up, and that really taught me, that gave me my foundation, the work ethic, really believing in yourself, and they taught me that every job matters, and you do every job 110%, whether you're mopping the floor, washing the dishes, or being up front hosting people. Everything you do, you give 110%. So that was really the foundation, of everything. And what really inspires me even today is living to their legacy.
That's key, because it just really shares not only that work ethic, but that commitment to excellence. And we've been hearing that a lot from many of our speakers that we've had here over these last 2 days. And then you began to take that marketing and branding route. And we know that sometimes as you start going into these spaces, there aren't many of us. And you've had to work in sometimes internal and external environments that either there weren't many Latinos or people of color, but yet you still figured out how to navigate that. You were many years at PepsiCo, 16 years there. Can you talk about that and how that prepared you for your global role with the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, in many times I was in situations where I wasn't supposed to be in. I studied in the School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. I wasn't supposed to be there. I couldn't afford it. But somehow, somewhere, I got a scholarship to be there. My first job was at P&G in Latin America, and working in Procter & Gamble was, really taught me some of the early barriers. I remember, I'll share this story because you're Dominican.
Yeah, I know. And Procter & Gamble's on the house too, right?
I was in the Dominican Republic many years ago. I was very young at the time, assistant brand manager, maybe 23 years old, and it was my first campaign. And you're so excited to finally get the opportunity to lead. And my boss took me to meet the advertising agency in the Dominican Republic. And I remember distinctly walking in, and the head of the agency, they were all men, by the way. The head of the agency looks at my boss, looks at me, says, "Marissa, nice to meet you. Come meet Claudia, my assistant. Why don't you two ladies go have a cafecito while us men talk business?" And as a 23-year-old to hear that, I mean, my body, I was shaking all over. I didn't know what to do. I looked at my boss. Of course, he didn't really say anything. And that was it. That was my opportunity to, speak up and take my seat at the table. And I just basically said, it's my campaign. I have to be here. I have to be in the room. I'm the one running this thing. And you think, okay, all of a sudden, all the sky parts and everything's wonderful, and it wasn't. It was very, very awkward. And it was a very awkward moment, and we went through that meeting, and working through that campaign was awkward.
Yeah.
But it taught me very, very early on that nobody is going to invite you in. You have to put yourself at the table, claim your place, and stay there. No matter how awkward the situation may be, and then, eventually people see you and accept you, and then you move on. But that was a good lesson early on.
Well, I'm definitely glad that did not stop you from, saying that, no, I don't work here, as I'm not the help on this. I am at the table I deserve. I'm here, and you made that statement clear. And I also love what you shared about making sure that, that you're present, because we know that the last 2 days, that's a common theme about being present, showing up, and taking your seat at that table. And so after that experience, and even after, and I guess my question would be is, as a result of that experience, as you started going into more of these rooms where you might be the only one in the room, how did that shape your mindset as you're going into these important meetings?
Yeah, that experience combined with really my upbringing, it gave me a lot of courage to just go in, take risks. I always thought to myself, if I'm not supposed to be here, and I am, I might as well take every opportunity and make sure that I fully take advantage of it. And I was always driven by this thing in the back. I didn't want to be seen as a Latina. This is a very important lesson. I did not want to be seen as a Latina. I wanted to be seen as a business leader, period, end of story. And my entire career, we talk about PepsiCo, almost my entire career at PepsiCo, I worked hard to make sure people didn't see the Latina side, that people saw the business leader, because that's what I wanted. And interesting, you know this story. Late into my career at PepsiCo, I was asked to do a very unique role. I was asked to lead the creation of a Hispanic business unit. And I turned the job down. I turned it down 3 times. I turned it down when my boss asked me. I turned it down when the head of Frito-Lay North America asked me. And I turned it down when the CEO of PepsiCo Beverages asked me. I turned it down 3 times. And it was a gentleman by the name of Al Carey, who you know very well,
yes,
who used to lead all of PepsiCo, who asked me, why are you turning this down? And I said, I don't want to be pegged. I don't want my career to be defined by me being Latina. And Al said to me, I remember clearly, he said, you don't realize the superpower that being a Latina is in this, in this time. And he reminded me that, the growth of our country lies in the Hispanic community. And the only ones that can really tap into it through a true insight from a marketing perspective is someone that lives the experience, someone that understands the experience. He said, you have to do this job. It was meant for you. And you can't say no to Al Carey if you know who he is.
I know, yeah.
Of course, I took the job reluctantly, and I must say that was probably the most pivoting moment for me in my career as a leader, because I understood not just the skill set that you need to be a business leader, but the purpose piece. Because yes, you need all the skills that you've been talking about for the last 2 days to succeed in corporate America. But the thing that gets you over the edge and makes you truly stand out and be successful is the purpose. Why are you here? What do you need to accomplish? What is that legacy? And what are you going to do for your community, right? So it taught me a lot.
Well, definitely glad that Al convinced you, because that really made a big pivotal difference. And so, and then after 16 years, you got a major call from the NFL.
Yeah.
What was that like, to get a call from the NFL saying, we want you to lead our global branding strategy, not just in the US, but around the world?
Yeah, it was very unexpected. I never expected to get the call. And I will say that PepsiCo is the greatest organization on the earth. I never planned to leave. I think my whole career planned out, and you get this phone call one day, and I remember telling the headhunter, I'm good, I'm at PepsiCo, there's probably 3 brands that I would ever leave PepsiCo for that I could count, and he said, well, is the NFL one of them? And I was floored. It was a very, very tough decision. But when an opportunity like that comes your way, you got to take the risk and jump off the cliff. I mean, I didn't know I was leaving a very comfortable role. I was leaving people I knew, a network that I had built over many years, going into a completely unknown world. And all of you know and hear about the National Football League, and at the time there were many, many headlines, and you know, there's many perceptions of what the league is like. So it was, you know, it was a choice, a tough choice, but one I don't regret. I mean, it's been a great ride so far.
Well, by the way, are you noticing the common theme, what Marissa said versus what Julio said at lunchtime versus what some of the other board directors? I mean, you're seeing this common theme that, you know, you were getting comfortable being uncomfortable and taking things, because you reached that point, you are comfortable, and then you get an opportunity to do something that's completely joining it. As you know, the NFL is mega male dominated, and does significantly lack Latino Hispanic inclusion. And you're going to this completely uncharted territory, but yet here you are, and then you get to the NFL, and you know, tell us about just how you got the buy-in to launch such an incredible and inclusive campaign. And after that, I know, you know, we would love for you to also share some background as well, and even a video. But you talk about that, because that's just inspiring. And when I saw it in the Super Bowl, I was like, that was Marissa. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it started, you know, with courage, right? You walk in a room. Remember my first time in the boardroom with Roger. That is a very intimidating room. I mean, Roger's got nothing on Indra, you know, like they're both, you know, equally. You walk in a room and you're just in awe that you're there.
Yeah, you've heard to Roger
Goodell, the Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, my first few months there, as you start to really look into the data, because it really is all about what value you bring to an organization, how you're gonna grow that organization, right? And your role in that growth. And as I started to look at the data, you know, the NFL is the #1 sports league in the nation. There is no debating that. And our fan base is huge. But you start to see and really dissect that fan base. It's pretty homogenous right now, right? It's over 35, you know, very white male dominated. And when you look at the demographic, I mean, this room, I don't need to explain to this room, right? The demographic changes, what the fan base of tomorrow will be. It's young people, it's multicultural people, it's people of all genders, all sexual orientations, and we weren't talking to that fan base. And, you know, maybe in the next 5 years, things will be fine and we'll be at the top of our game. But 5 years down the line, where we're renegotiating deals with broadcasters, and you know, we were going to be in big trouble. So showing these numbers, you know, to the executives and saying, we need to build our fan base, and the Latino community is a critical part of that. And no, the Latino community doesn't just love soccer; they love football. They're engaged in football, but they want to see themselves in the sport. So we began to really engage with the community. We've done a lot of, you know, campaigns and communications. But last November, I met Diana Flores. And Diana Flores is the Mexican national champion flag football player. The Mexican team has won the world championship. They beat the US. Her story is just unbelievable. And she is just this bundle of joy, and she lives the Latino experience. And I said, gosh, we have to tell her story. And we have to put her front and center, not like a side thing, like, okay, well, we're gonna do this Hispanic campaign over here. No, it has to be our Super Bowl main stage message, because there are 1,000 people like Diana, 1,000 little girls that have dreams, and we convinced them. We convinced Roger, we convinced our agency, and we put this incredible commercial. I hope you've all seen it on stage. It's done phenomenally well. I think it was #2 in the US ad meter. We just won a sports Emmy for it, which was phenomenal, and there we are, or there's a picture of Diana and I holding the Emmy. We were so proud. But I think, you know, what brings it all to fruition and how special this moment was, in marketing, you know, it's important to represent and to tell stories that represent communities. But for a long time, it's been about just making sure you see people in commercials, right? We gotta have Latinos, we gotta have African Americans, we gotta have diversity. And seeing diversity is good, and that's one thing, but actually making our community the protagonist of a major sport like that was never done. And you know, there's a behind the scenes that I want to share with you guys, because Diana didn't realize she was going to be the star of this commercial until she actually got to LA for the shoot and saw the setup and what we had her do. Wow. And she never told her parents her role in the commercial. She just told her parents she was going to be in a Super Bowl spot, and they were very excited. And it wasn't until Super Bowl, we brought them up from Mexico City and sat them down and shared the commercial with them, that they, you know, they finally saw their daughter. And so this is a video that we took when they first saw it, all of them. It was when Diana first saw the commercial and her parents first saw it. And I think it tells a big story about the importance of us elevating our community.
That's great.
So I don't know if we can share it now.
And if we can cue the video, please.
¿Qué les ha comentado Diana?
Me ha dicho muy poquito. Entonces yo estoy con el corazón así.
Ay, ay, cuenta regresiva. Cuenta regresiva. Ah, mira. Capitán México Nacional. ¿Qué? ¿Desde qué cara pusiste? ¡Ay! ¡Ay! ¡Oh! ¿Qué es eso? ¡Oh! ¡No! ¡No! ¡Ah! ¡Mira! ¡Ay! ¡Ay! ¿Qué pasa? Now we're pushing football forward to see when you take this game. Ay.
Sí, sabes.
Ay, sí. Eres la estrella.
Tú me dijiste que ibas a participar, no quieras la estrella.
Mi princesa. Eres poderosa. Poderosa.
¿Qué tal? Qué bonito.
Imagínate el impacto. Y eso es lo que tienes. Y ahorita está reflejado en algo grande. Y no se me llena de orgullo, de emoción, de grandeza. Y estoy muy feliz por ti, por todo lo que está pasando. Ay, 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 qué cosas, ¿no? Qué cosas, no sé.
Trabajamos mucho, siempre, desde que era muy pequeña. Nunca imaginé esto, a este nivel. Creo que no, ni siquiera lo soñé. Mil gracias por hacer esto grande.
No me esperaba todo esta escena. Ver a mi hermana, que pues sí es la estrella de todo este comercial, y ver a todas las personas que participaron. Le decía, son muchas personas que estuvieron ahí. Es muy lindo ver a mi hermana, pues sí, verla brillar. Y con ese último mensaje sí, como que sí te llena el corazón, pues porque sí lo entiendes. Y, ay, no, es muy bonito.
I tell you, yeah.
That is so touching. I mean, that's just incredible how moving that is. And all I can think about is we would never have been blessed with that kind of experience were it not for the fact that there is a Latina present in the NFL when you made that decision to go into that uncharted territory and be that voice. And you see that common mission of what happens when we put Latinos at the table. We start advancing our community, and you get there, and then within a short period of time, you have Latinoized the Super Bowl, but just so incredible experience. But but this is just so so great. With a few minutes that we have left, I want you to talk about because now you're in this global role. And again, I've known you for many years, and you have a beautiful family, and you're balancing that between being here. And I'll tell you a funny story. Both of us have to be on a flight
tonight
to back to the East Coast. We have to unpack, repack, and then we're both off to Cannes Lions. To Cannes, France on Friday. So I don't feel so now it's my team that's like, you gotta take a red-eye flight tonight. Oh, I wanna stay for the party tonight. No, you gotta take a red-eye flight because we gotta get to Cannes. So tell us, about how do you balance, your global travels with just the normal everyday commitments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've heard throughout the conference the last 2 days. It's grueling. It's a grueling schedule. You have to be focused. You have 20,000 decisions to make. You're going from east to west. You have to be ready for that. But I think for me, when you look at this slide, it's the first two pictures, right? It's what's the most important thing for you? Who is that fuel to your fire? And it's, I talked about my parents and their sacrifice, and I honor that sacrifice every single day. But it is, it's my family, and it's hard. I mean, I live in Dallas, I work in New York and LA. My daughter's a senior, she just graduated. And so, I won't lie that it's about time management, because it's not. There's not enough time in the day, in the months, in the years, to be able to do everything. So if somebody tells you you can do it all, it's a lie. It's all about trade-offs and engagement and managing your energy. And every moment that I spend with my daughter and my husband, I give 110% to, savor it, whether it's her last soccer game, her graduation. We just came back from a trip in Japan because that's what she wanted to do. And, I'm not gonna spend every waking moment with her or my husband. That's just, it's a reality, but the moments we spend together, we savor. And that's what it's all about. It's about the right trade-offs, being intentional, and every second of the day and the time, making sure it's intentional to the things that you care most about.
That's great. I have one last question, then we're gonna get a chance to open up for questions. But, now that you're in this very visible and global role, we had a session this morning called Creating a Lasting Legacy, and it was Latinos that, and I see Alma was in there. She was one of the panelists there, and Martinez who's at UPS was on there as well. But as you look ahead, what would you like to be your lasting legacy?
Yeah, it's a great question, and by the way, I just have to say, thank you, because you are, for us, an inspiration, right? We see your careers, we see what you've done and the legacy you've left, and that's where I want to be, right? And for me, it's closer than it used to be. But my legacy for me, it's all about, giving a voice to those that are unseen and unheard. I mean, that video to me is so special, and Diana is so special because giving her a voice, making her shine, shines a light on the entire Latino community. And if my legacy can be that I gave a voice and put our community front and center to shine, then hopefully, that'll be one of my biggest legacies.
Well, you have certainly done that. Absolutely, you have done that. So let's open it up for questions. If it's possible, we have 2 microphones here. If anyone is interested in asking Marissa questions, please come to the microphone, please. It'll be faster that way rather than having everyone just run around. And we have these big lights on us, so we can't necessarily see all of you. So we'll start right here, and as I see my good friend, that's Robert Bard from Latina
I see
Style.
Robert. I'm like,
Robert
is that Robert?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Marissa, and hi, Sid. We've had the pleasure of working together for, I think it's been 17 years, and see your accomplishments throughout your career. At Latina Style magazine, we have frankly been waiting for 10 years to do a major story on Latinas in sport. The next issue of Latina Style, you are the cover of the magazine, and we've been working together. And
well deserved.
And I would like to congratulate you and also let you know, and to everybody, the job that Marissa is taking, it's a very, very complicated and demanding job. You're going to have to be putting an image out there of the NFL that is not that popular with women at large. So your job is going to be not influencing only Hispanics and women, and you don't have a Lionel Messi that you can build your whole campaign around now that he comes to the United States. But I want to let you know that all of us are so proud of you, and we're ready to support all the work that you're going to be doing. Women in sports, there are many, but not many that can make the kind of impact that you're going to be making, or that you have made already. And Sid, thank you so much for asking Marissa to come. And I want you to know that it's a privilege and an honor, and we look forward to seeing your story in the next issue of Latina Style. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Robert. That's amazing.
Breaking news. You will be on the cover of Latina Style magazine. That is great. Thank you, Robert, and thank you for everything you do with Latina Style. Great partner to Hacer. So, yes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Tiffany Douglas. Marissa, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for your story. When we watched that commercial, my daughter said to me, I could have still played flag football. She was the only brown girl on her, she was the only girl and the only brown girl on her team. And you helped to provide vision for her. And I'm sure you've heard the fact that you're providing this for a lot of young women, Latina or Black or whichever background. So thank you for that. My question to you is, what is the pipeline for women like you in sports, and how is it created? How can you help create it? How can we help forge it? How can we help ensure and make sure that our athletic teams and other places where we're underrepresented, that we can make sure that we are driving that expectation, that we are at the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will tell you, contrary to popular opinion, there's actually quite a few women in the NFL in leadership positions, both in the front office like myself, but in the teams. We have, women presidents of sports teams now. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders is a perfect example of a, incredible African-American woman leading in that place. But we are putting a lot of things in place, and thank you, by the way, to PepsiCo, who taught me a lot about D&I initiatives and things that you can do. But we are putting a lot of things in place to build that pipeline, to make sure that we are, finding the talent, because the talent is out there. When people say there's no talent out there, the talent is out there. So finding the talent, nurturing the talent, and then putting that talent in front of the right people. So we have, our head of D&I, Jonathan Bean, has done an incredible job bringing together minority women candidates in front of the owners, to talk about careers in the teams, right, and in the league. And so that's how it starts, and it's also going into high schools, colleges, and universities, and starting to talk about the reality of women in sports, whether it's the true business of the sport, right, the operations side, coaching, training, or the executive side, which could be finance, marketing, sales, broadcast media. There's so many different things in the sports league and the sports arena that women can succeed in.
Thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for the work. We feel powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Question over here.
All right, thank you for sharing. My name is Jessica Robledo Garcia. I'm the North America Supply and Demand Senior Director for Procter & Gamble.
Hey, where it all started for you.
Yeah. A lot has been shared about willing to be uncomfortable to grow. So my question to you is, how do you distinguish between discomfort that leads to growth and unnecessary suffering when it comes to career moves?
That is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that question. It's like exercise, right? And I hate the sports analogy, but it hurts when you work out, but then you see the results, right? So I have to say, you have to see the results of your pain, for lack of a better word. I always judge whether I'm doing the right thing by the butterflies I feel. If I don't feel butterflies in my stomach, I'm not doing something right, and I'm not growing. And I will tell you, I am uncomfortable every single day in the league. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna approach this? But that to me is growth. If you feel that you're adding value, if you feel that you're changing things, however uncomfortable that may be, because people don't like change. People don't like disruption. But if you see that you're making progress and disrupting and changing towards your goal, then you know it's the right thing. Suffering is when you don't see the progress, you're not being valued, the doors are closing, and you don't have the allies around you to help. That's when you don't want that, right? You want to make sure you see the progress towards your goal, but please embrace that discomfort. Because that is, that's how you grow and you make things change.
Great, thank you. Question over here.
Thank you, good afternoon. Luisa Salazar with BP. Fantastic presentation, very, very inspiring. My question is about definition of success and how that evolved for you. So if I were to ask you 10 years ago, what was your definition of success? What would be your answer, and what's your answer today?
I love that question. Thank you so much. It's no lie, when I was, a young up-and-coming executive, I was very ambitious. And my definition of success was, I want to be a CEO, and I want to be the head of whatever, and it was all about position and rank very early on. And as I learned, as you grow and learn the things that are truly important, for me, my definition of success is impact. I want to impact. I don't care if I'm CEO. I don't care, what the level is. You can impact from anywhere. And impact starting with my family. I mean, my daughter, is everything to me. My husband, my parents, honoring their legacy, that is success to me. If my husband's happy and my daughter's proud, then I'm successful. And then carrying on that success to others, right? My Latino community, other communities that are unseen and unheard, that to me is success. So it has changed quite a bit. And I think life circumstances and things kind of make it evolve, but it certainly has changed for sure.
Great, thanks. I think we have time for one more question, or yes? And of course, it's from our very own Sylvia Perez-Cash, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer.
Thank you. Actually,
Yay,
it's from
Sylvia.
somebody who's feeling a little shy, so I'm going to do the honors. And the question is this. It sounds like you said your thinking about being Latina as opposed to being a business leader has changed. Was it a slow evolution or an aha moment?
I love that question too. Gosh, these are really good questions.
That's right. Great questions.
I think it was an aha moment. I don't know why I fought it so much. I think maybe, you know, growing up in the Valley where we were marginalized and seeing my family being marginalized and hearing comments, you know, in college, you know, growing up in that world where our community wasn't seen as successful. I wanted to break through so badly. And, you know, it's part of the last question of being ambitious and just wanting to be seen as my definition of success, right, as a CEO. I think that it was an aha moment when I saw the impact that Hispanic business unit had on the business at Pepsi and on the people and on the communities. I mean, by the way, it still exists today, so there's a legacy there. They're very successful. But I don't know if I can describe the power of, you know, the success of Pepsi relies a lot on our store sales, right, in the front line. And there's all these little colmados and little stores all over the US that are owned by Latinos that they never felt they had the power because our salespeople wouldn't go in there and present to them in Spanish or show them a bit of the business. And the minute that we created a Spanish-speaking sales force that would go in and embrace these owners and tell them how they could grow the business, the impact that had on local communities everywhere, from Los Angeles to Brooklyn, was immense. And seeing that, I think, was, to me, the aha moment of like, your Latinidad matters. Like, it is a superpower. Our community matters. Like, we have the most influence, both economically, culturally, socially. If we just come together, like, there's so many things that, you know, that we can accomplish. So it really was that aha. And now it's like, I don't want to be a business leader. I want to be seen as a Latina because it is, you know, it's a powerful thing. Latinos too, by the way. But.
Okay, I mean, I'm giving a signal that we got time for, do I have time for one more? Or I'm gonna squeeze in, one more. Only because it feels it's you, Angie. Angie Molina from Target, so yes.
Thank you so much. This was very, very inspiring. I was crying and everything. It was really great. And this is really just following up with what you just said right now, which is, what do we need to do to come together as a community? And you are in this place of seeing this impacting, obviously the Latino community, but you have a really nice bird's eye view of all other communities that are so passionate, especially with NFL being such a, you know, bridge. So would love to hear from you about specifically the Latino community. What do we need to do to just really focus on coming together as a community?
Yeah, it's a great question as well. And I'll tell you now, being in the world and connected in the network, like, our community is tight and small. Like, I mean, we're big, we're 60 million strong, but meeting the leadership, you know, I see the same people as we go to, you know, industry events or as we see things, and the power of that network is great. And we just have to realize that working together is better than, you know, working apart. Building each other up is better than, you know, tearing each other down. And being focused on action and the power of the data. You know, there's a lot, and gosh, I could talk for hours on this, but our community isn't always portrayed in the most positive way, right? We're portrayed as victims. We're portrayed as, you know, the lowest. And when you truly see the numbers, like the data, like, we are the most powerful, both economically, culturally. We have so much influence. We have to tell that story. We have to make sure people don't forget that narrative and the data. And we have to come together, both in the business world, in the political world, to show the power of those numbers. And that's what I think is going to bring our community forward.
Great. Well, let me just just say this as we wrap up, is that number one, absolutely, your Latinidad is your superpower, and it's our superpower, but particularly as a Latina, is a superpower, and you have made an incredible impact. And again, I've been so honored just to witness this, the journey of your career over all these years, and seeing what you're doing now. Next week, I get to see you because, we got a pretty small group, but next week when we're both in Cannes for the Cannes Lions conference, that's 50,000 people that are about to, see what we've all seen here today from around the world, something like 100-something countries, and knowing that the power of this was the vision of a Latina that made the decision to take an uncomfortable leadership role. And the whole wide world is about to see what we've known about you already. So it's an incredibly proud moment, and I'm so proud because it's just so wonderful. So I'd love for everyone to just give a really warm, heartwarming felicidades to Marissa Solis, the Senior Vice President for Global Branding for the NFL, the National Football League. So proud. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid.
All right, thank you. So we're going to take a quick photo right here before we do this, and then I'm going to give some closing marks. Here we go. Great, great. Thank you so much. Wasn't that worth staying here for the finale? I told you so. I told you, absolutely. It's just one of those examples of why HACER and our 37-year-old mission of advancing Hispanic inclusion in corporate America is so important. It's why we need to see more Latinos at the highest levels throughout corporate America, whether it's on the boards, whether it's on the C-suite, in all department areas. The P&L positions, as you saw Julio mention, the other key important positions that are there throughout corporate America, because this is what happens when you put Latinos presente in the room, especially in these roles that have not been traditional, because look what Marissa did just as soon as she got into the NFL. And look what Julio Portalatin did as soon as he got into his roles. And, when you look at the speakers, this morning and yesterday, you're seeing that common denominator, and that's why it's so important in this HACER executive programs that you don't leave here alone and just keep it to yourselves. We need you to go back into your companies and make sure that you're sharing and inspiring others so that they can be moving up the ladder and thinking strategically. Hope you got some great knowledge on everything ranging from the various kinds of boards, nonprofits, corporate advisory, corporate boards, your strategic strategy, and how to think long-term so that way that could be your lasting legacy. And as you're rising up, you're keeping everything at the base. So this is why we do what we do. But before we wrap up remarks, you can see I'm just so excited about this session. I'm absolutely just so inspiring. I want to just make sure before we close, this segment is made possible thanks to Ford Motor Company. So I want to show a video from our sponsor, Ford Motor Company.
As the philanthropic arm of Ford Motor Company, Ford Fund has been supporting communities at a grassroots level for more than 70 years by harnessing the power and expertise of the Ford Motor Company network, our employees, dealers, and nonprofit partners. We help build a better world where every person is free to move and pursue their dreams. Together, we provide access to essential needs and services to build equity and help individuals, families, and communities succeed. We develop programs that remove barriers to economic success and provide resources that allow people to thrive, not just survive. And by using the power of mobility, we create unique solutions to social and economic challenges in communities in our own backyard and beyond. After all, we believe freedom of movement should not be reserved for those who can afford it, but available for all to pursue their own path. Ford Fund, keeping the road to a better future open to all who dream of moving forward.
All right, thank you, Ford Motor Company. All right, so this concludes the business sessions for our HACER executive programs. Again, a big thanks to everyone behind the scenes, the AV team, and of course our programs team. So important. But tonight we have a very special evening, and we certainly hope that everyone stays. Our young Hispanic corporate achievers who have been 3 days in another room, preparing themselves to be prepared to one day be in this room here with you. Tonight will be the Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers Awards Ceremony Dinner, where we get to present them with their rewards for not only the 3 days being here, but 2.5 months of leadership advancement, which is so important. We certainly welcome all of you to join us tonight. Reception starts at 6 o'clock, and then our award ceremony starts at 7 o'clock. And certainly hope that you're all able to join us. And as we've been sharing, is to make sure that you continue to share with the public, use that hashtag, HACEREP23. Let the whole wide world know not only what we're doing, who we are, why we do what we're doing, and then that common theme to make sure that that we use those courage muscles to really stretch into those new opportunities and keep in touch with us and let us know how you continue to rise up. Follow HACER on social media. Make sure that you're continuing to stay engaged with us. And again, as I said before, make sure that you share this knowledge with your colleagues at your companies. Because as we do this together, we will make that difference and rise up and see more Latinos into those C-suite positions. More Latinos that are CFOs, COOs, general counsels, CMOs, CIOs, CAOs, all that area until we see more Latinos that are CEOs, particularly for Latinas, and then getting more into those levels on those corporate boards. Because while the numbers that we have right now at only a 5% unacceptable rate, let's make sure that we make that major impact. And that's why we want to make sure that we're continuing with the work that we do. And we don't do it alone. I'm proud that I'm the chair of the Alliance for Board Diversity. It's a collaboration between HACER, the Executive Leadership Council, Catalyst, and Leadership Education for Asia Pacifics. As you know, we got a great partnership with LCDA and many other organizations that we all together doing this because we know the impact of what happens when we put Latinos on the road. And I'll just say this as before we wrap up. When I was in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum this past January, and this time as a speaker, a panelist, I told you I crashed it 5 years ago. This time I came back and I got to say a few words. And I'll tell you what I said, because this is going to really tell you the why, the real why. Because they said, well, why would you go to Davos, Switzerland to talk about Hispanic inclusion? And I said to all these in the audience, if I could name you a country that is the 5th largest economy in the world, that is dollar denominated so there's no currency risk, that is AAA rated so there's no sovereign debt risk, that is in a strong regulatory environment, whose average age is 28, whose mode age is 11, which is growing faster than every single G20 country in the world, and even some developing countries in the world, who's an English-dominant country, who's the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Would you take your globalization strategy dollars and put it into that country? Of course, everyone was like, what country? Is it Turkey? Is it South Korea? Is it this? I just described the U.S. Latino community. That is our economic power. And so imagine being the driver, driving those dreams, as you saw in that commercial, of an economy of that level of influence. And this is the why that we have to continue to look up and rise up. And as Julio said, all of us can get into those C-suite and board positions. And why, when we get there, to make sure that we are rising up, that we're standing up, that we're raising our hands, that we're declaring our presencia in these gatherings. And I know that if we do this together, we're going to see a big lasting difference. So that's the why of what we've been doing, and that's why I'm just so thankful for every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules over these 2.5 days to be here at our Hasera Executive Programs, and we hope that every one of you were able to get some great value and great insight. So that's why on behalf of our team, on behalf of our board of directors, we want to say muchísimas gracias. And so for those who are joining us for dinner, we look forward to seeing you there. And in case I don't see you, make sure, again, stay in contact with us, because we're here for you. Our team is here for you. And make sure that you're also here for each other. And when we're in the room, but other underrepresented communities are not in the room, then speak up. Why are there no Black leaders here? Why are there no LGBTQ leaders here? Why are there no other diverse ability people in the room? We all are in this together, and we all can make sure of that difference. And as as leaders, we can all do that. So I want to just end with that why, so that way we all understand the importance of what we got to do. So with that, I want to say thank you all so much. Muchísimas gracias. And we'll see you tonight at dinner and reception at 6 o'clock, and our dinner at 7 o'clock with our young Hispanic corporate achievers. Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you this evening.
Thank you again to all our session speakers, moderators, and the 2023 HACER Executive Program sponsors. We look forward to seeing you at 6 p.m. in the Golden Gate Foyer for our evening reception.